I say this as someone who hasn't been to Istanbul, at least not to see a Turkish side play. So that kind of traditional thing of talking about hostile grounds in Turkey is quite difficult to respond to. Barcelona when Real Madrid are in town, but not the rest of the time. That's certainly pretty hostile. The old San Mamés, Athletic Bilbao, very close to the pitch, in particular, again, when Madrid were in town, because that is another game that's charged with a real kind of political edge. I've always found that San Siro, when it's full, is impressive, but quite often it actually feels a little flat. It actually feels like it's not that great. Of course, Napoli is something really, really special. And then perhaps we should choose an English one. So a hostile ground in England. I don't know about hostile, but I guess Anfield when Manchester United are around, or Anfield for foreign clubs. And it's not so much hostile as different. And Spaniards will always tell you, for example, they go to Anfield, that all this stuff about, this is Anfield and the Kop and all the rest of it, when they see it for the first time, it really does hit them. Well, watch it for a start. I know that's obvious, but watch as much of it as you possibly can, because there's no substitute for actually seeing the games. But I think the other thing is that the growth of the internet, of Twitter and Facebook, and there's blogs out there that are brilliant, means that it's easier than it's ever been to keep in touch. But there is also something to be said for local media. So, I mean, if we look at it from a Spanish perspective, read the Spanish media as well. Get yourself on YouTube, because these days virtually everything that goes on Spanish TV at some stage or another will end up on YouTube. So that's important. Read the right journalists on Spanish football from a British perspective, because there are people there who really know what they're talking about. And then go. That's the other thing. I mean, I think one of the wonderful things about following foreign football, if you're an English football fan, whether it's German, French, Italian, Spanish football, is that experience of going for the first time. And I remember going as a 17 or 18-year-old to see my first game in Italy, and nothing quite prepares you for actually seeing it. That's quite a difficult one. Underrated? Well, I mean, he's not underrated anymore because he's just been called into the Spain squad. But Koke at Atletico Madrid, I think, is a brilliant player. He's not underrated, another Atletico Madrid player, but I think he is maybe underrated in England. And I think in maybe 4 or 5 years' time, he won't be underrated in England. That's Thibaut Courtois, the goalkeeper. And I think he's on course to quite possibly be the best goalkeeper in the world. And I'm a very big fan of Beñat Echeverría at Athletic Bilbao, who was at Betis last year. He's a really nice, tidy footballer, and I think he's the kind of player that could do a really good job in the middle of an English midfield, a team like, for example, Manchester United, that's looking for that ball-playing midfielder. Xavi Prieto at Real Sociedad. And Xavi Prieto is a club captain. When they were relegated to second division, he stayed there. He was brought up through the youth system. Even playing in the second division, his manager at the time said, this guy should play for Spain. Yet no one ever talks about this. No one ever says he should play for Spain. And he's one of those great players who appears to be playing in slow motion all the time. But it's because his mind works quicker than everyone else's. And he never, ever seems to run. But his final pass is absolutely superb.